Salutations everyone, Dreamforge here with another build guide. Today I will introduce you to the Huscarl, and today even with in-game footage. Crazy. Yeah, we are at Friedewald, you see, green skins are invading, but that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Huscarl. And even that name kind of sounds a bit wonky, it doesn't sound as catchy as Paladin or Taskmaster. But don't get fooled by that name. That Huscarl is an absolute killing machine, right? This will, I think, is basically your highest DPS bro you can have. And I don't really need this section where I show like early game equipment, and therefore I just thought, I just try this out. Maybe you guys enjoy that more, doing this in just in-game footage. And I have a campaign running right now. Of course, I have Huscarls. I love those guys. Just go over the skill points, and there's even one variation point. Variation. What I most of the time do, I get, because they will be probably always in the backline, I get student almost always at the first perk. I know that's kind of greedy, but I like to do that because then they level faster, so they snowball more. You get those juicy perks down here earlier. But yeah, I will get this pretty early. What I then always get is gifted, so I can just bump up his ranged attack skill. And then I always get bags and belts and quick hand. Most of the quick hands before this, but it doesn't really matter that much. You don't really use a weapon at that point anyways. Probably run around with a crossbow, I feel like. Yeah, then I get this, and at that moment they kind of start to become really useful. They do a lot of damage then, plus 30%. You use them a lot in that regard, so you kind of have one in front, maybe a tank or just like a normal vanguard, and then they stand behind them, and then they throw like 2 javelins into the enemy, and they hit a lot, like pretty well, even with enemies who have shields, and they just completely crash them. So after that, it's a little bit up to you. If that dude is very squishy, maybe you don't really take a lot of HP nodes, you can take Colossus then. But I take this pretty late, almost like my last perk. But then of course you have this U, right? This is like the formation. So you always go, I always go nimble first. I want them to survive a play on Iron Man, highest difficulty, so I really want that. Because believe it or not, enemies really want to kill your ranged bros. So if you unholds or orcs, they kick your other bros away if they don't have Indom up. And then they just beeline to them. So they will get sometimes into melee. It's not that you can prevent this all the time. So they need at least somewhat of a fence, like at least a little bit. Yeah, and then of course we get taking Berserk and Killing Frenzy. Everyone loves those perk combinations. Then I most of the time take Fearsome and one of the last perks, Duelist. Duelist is absolutely amazing. You see when I go over the equipment, why this is so good. It just does way more damage, and you at some point almost only do like HP damage. Yeah, and then Fearsome obviously is. There are 2 options. You can skip this. Maybe if you have Cultists, they get plus 20 HP. And even though Colossus I feel like is most of the time maybe a little bit better or almost on the same level, and you can take Recover. In those longer fights, you kill a lot and you throw like 3 times in a row, like per round, and you can see this will burn your fatigue very, very good. At some point you should recover, right? But again, I use them a lot strategically. I move around and then sometimes just throw 1 net or something. It's just, I would say you do more damage if you have this, right? Or you can do things like putting Fearsome away again. Some people don't like this perk. I love this perk. And just take that. But if you would do like the same stuff and you would take Fearsome, you wouldn't take Fearsome, then instead you would take Recover. You would probably do more DPS in a longer fight, but I'm not sure if you really do more damage. Having this perk and hitting so often HP damage, almost every throw, they hit a lot later, right? You will chain route a lot with this. This is an absolute fearsome trigger machine too. Again, I absolutely love this build. One of my favorites. But I would never go over 3 of them. Even though they're really good, you need other things. They're very squishy, and if they have, let's say, an orc warrior in their surroundings, they're basically screwed. So you need stuff to protect them. But yeah, 2 I feel like is a very, very good number. So yeah, those are the skill points. This is how I would build him. There's obviously other versions you can take. Some people even take this adrenaline, so they always start first. But I feel they burn through your fatigue a little bit too fast. Let's just go with attribute points. I always have some sort of melee attack. 70 is actually pretty high, but I would always aim for like 65 or something like this, because sometimes you want to hit, right? Or help out with like getting rid of nets from goblins or spiders. You want to have as much ranged attack skill as possible. This is one of my earlier bros, Hans the Huscarl. I just saw this. And that's kind of cool. Very German name for a Viking warrior. Anyways, you want to aim for this as high as possible. I mean, if you would have a hunter who starts with a lot and gets a lot, you maybe don't even need gifted, and then you can take cover instead of gifted maybe. But this is just a poacher. This is a run where I only can hire lowborns, and I don't have that option. You want to level sometimes HP, you know, you want to have at least a little bit, and sometimes some range defense. 15 is, I would like to have that higher. He rolled pretty badly, I feel like. And then sometimes, of course, you want to put points into fatigue. You use up fatigue a lot, but I would never prioritize that. You want to have a bro that has, I would say, at least 100 to 110 fatigue if you can get this. If not, you have to put some points in. And then, I say this all the time, you want to have somewhat of resolve. I would always aim for 40, even for them. But I use them a lot for netting too. So they go around, and I will just pick kill targets with them. I always have a hound on them, because sometimes again they get picked on. Then having one hound just placing right beside you will lead that those enemies sometimes even hit them. And I really like putting jagged pikes on them, those goblin pikes. But you can obviously use a normal pike, that's fine too. But what they do, and which is kind of cool, can throw once, because this takes 4. Then switch to this, and this takes 5. So you can use both in one turn because of quick hand, which will do a lot of damage. But we can push this even further. You can throw twice, kill a target, and then switch to this, and then poke. Not only you will save some ammunition, because you don't have unlimited of this, obviously, you just do a lot of damage. And this thing is pretty good. It even can make bleed effects and something like this. And this is actually cool. Moving 2 tiles, hitting with this, it makes him even more versatile. I'm in the gear section already. Of course, he should have nimble gear. I like this combination. Those hats is more of like late game stuff. You basically have to buy them. They are very rare. And this is just like a shitty armor. That's kind of how it is. He always has a net on him. He always has a pike, because you never want him in melee, basically. I really love those bros. They're really good, very versatile. They win you a lot of battles. I have one here, I level them. You see what he has, right? I'm at this stage right now where I got quick hands and bags and belts. He's level 5 or level 6. I can afford another dog, so obviously I gave him. And then he has now a crossbow. I think crossbow is for low level range bros pretty good, and then you would probably take those, or if you fight ancient undead, you would pick those. This is stuff you get from raiders or even from thralls, right? Pretty early on, those two. And those you get from reavers. Those you want to get from reavers. At some point, not too early, you want to go into the north and fight reavers and farm them until every one of your range bros that uses throwing weapons have this. So you want enough that you can completely change javelins to heavy throwing axes. Because there are fights, very armored orcs, for example, very armored, like ancient undead, they get less damage from this because this is piercing attacks. And you kind of want to switch them. I mean, if you just run around and you have basically this, it's fine, it's not the end of the world, they are fine, but against those very armored orcs, I mean, you throw them and then you hit them and you tickle them in the beginning if you don't have all your buffs up. But yeah, I mean, back where that belongs. Alright, I feel that I covered everything that is necessary. I just show this once more. Again, you have the option to not pick this if you don't like this, just pick this. And if you play Cultist or you have a lot of HP, that one rolled extremely good, he has 3 stars and you only take 5s all the time, then you don't need Colossus obviously. But you want to aim for a good amount of fatigue and as much range attack skill as possible, and some, I would say 60 to 70, so that you actually hit with them. Most pole arms have a chance to hit plus, right? That's pretty cool. That will actually help with hitting. This is just, it's a thrower hybrid mix of it. Let me know if you have suggestions changing this up. You know, some people may feel that there's another perk that they could take. I feel this is the most effective one, and again, I play on the highest difficulties, so this is a very good friend that was by my side all the time. Yeah, and I try to build pretty early on 2 of them because they carry you. But anyways, I'm talking way too much. I'm ranting about them because I like them so much. Yeah, if you like this, then give this video a like, subscribe. I feel almost nobody is subscribed who watch my videos. I don't know why. I really need those to get affiliated at some point. I would really appreciate that support, obviously. Regardless of you subscribe or not, I'm very happy that you decide to watch this video. Of course, that means a lot to me. So yeah, have a good day. Do something that is fun. And I see you in the next video.